Warning! This packing video is only designed to get you more prepared for your first base jump course, where your instructor will teach you to pack for your first base jump. Do not base jump any pack job you do from this video until you have the okay from your instructor. Jumping a pack job made from this video could result in serious injury or death. Hi guys, my name is Chris McDougall and I've been base jumping for over 19 years. I have over 3,500 base jumps and well over 4,000 pack jobs. Today I'm going to talk you through how I do a pack job for both slider up and down. It's very simple and very effective.
Hey! Yoo-hoo!
Go. Okay, lay your container down nice and flat with your stash bag underneath and grab a packing weight and put it evenly on top of the container. First of all, you want to run your hands up the lines to make sure everything is in order. Shake. Lay it on the ground, then drop your B's, run your A's out, and drop your brakes, and then you have a flaked canopy. Grab your tabs from the 7th cell to the 1st cell in reverse order and get them all nice and tight and secure with a clamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is your center cell, 5, 6, and 7. Not on the tab itself, but where the lines run up. Then you can repeat this for your C lines and D lines, but make sure you do your B lines first. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Moving them across. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and same there. Then to save your back again, we move everything over here. 1. Once you have done your B, C and D lines, you can bring your gear back and do your A lines, clamping not on the edge of the nose, but on the lines themselves where they come up. 5, 6, 7. Make sure you count 7 cells every time. On the A line, above the nose. 1, 2, 3. Once this is done, you can grab 3 cells either side of your center cell, wrap it around the cells on either side, and lay it flat down on the ground so that the canopy will be flying towards the ground. Putting the nose on the ground and putting our foot on the clamp. Now we are going to flake the top skin. So this is the top half of the canopy here. So to do this, grab your 3 cells either side, flick them in until you feel the top skin and lay them down. Flick out to clear the stabilizer there. Same on the inside here. The other 3 cells, and one more time here. Making sure that you don't lift the canopy too high up, and then give it a nice smooth out here. Then put your B's on your A's, C's on your B's, and D's on your C's. 1, 2, 3. Then give everything a nice big tighten, throwing your brake lines over to keep everything symmetrical. It is very important throughout the pack job that you keep everything symmetrical and everything tight. That's why we use the clamps. Count down. So, and then bring your tail into the middle. Now if you do a good flake on the top, the rest of the flake will be easy. Once the top skin is done, go down and clear the stabilizers 3 either side to make sure we don't have a line over. 2, 3, lay them flat. Then flake the bottom skin, basically the same as the top skin, but run up from the D lines to the C's, C's to the B's, B's to the A's. Do it all on one side and then jump over and do it on the other side. Most importantly, just do your 3 cells. You don't want to be fighting with your center cell. Let that stay in the middle and you should be able to see the seams once you have done it as shown. Next, go up to the clamps and gently tighten, making sure to grab both the fabric and the clamps so you don't pull the clamp off. Tighten everything up, starting with the A lines, working your way up to the D lines, and you'll see it's nice and neat and symmetrical. From this, if you have done a really good job, you can run your hands up between the lines and get it nice and tight. If you like, you can give it a quick flake either side and make it nice and neat again, and then go up and tighten your clamps again. And then the D lines. And you should see the clear seam all the way up. This holds all the rest of the fabric. Once you have finished flaking, hold onto your D lines with a flat hand, pull your D clamp down to your lines and jiggle the brake lines down to the start of the stabilizers. Now we are going to set our brakes. So now we're going to set our brakes and quarter the slider. There are 2 ways to set your brakes depending on whether you are slider up or slider down. For slider up, you set them like a normal skydiving canopy. Like so. Just to keep it nice and neat. The important thing is the brake line. For slider down, it is critical to make sure the lines are not through any rings or slider grommets. Then grab your brake line, put the white loop through it, then put the white loop through the ring and you'll toggle through the white loop. It is very critical, and you can check that it's done correctly by pulling it down to make sure it's locked tight. And remember, make sure you do exactly the same for the other side. Through the ring. Whether you want shallow or deep brake settings, make sure they're exactly the same because symmetry is what we want for this clean pack job. All other brake settings are done. Okay, now we're going to set our tail. Once the brakes are done, go back up to the tail and put your hand underneath the brake lines and hold onto the D lines again. This way we can pull on the clamps and tighten everything up and flick the tail over to one side so we can flake the tail. Just like so, all the way. Then you simply just go through everything bit by bit. Always making sure the seam runs directly up the tail. Starting with the stabilizer. Flaking the tail is very simple. Just do it as I'm showing you, where you take your time flattening everything out as you go. All the way through. And then once you get to the center, you simply keep going. Do the whole tail completely, and then you can flip it over and get it back symmetrically with the tail pocket showing. Like so. Once you get to the end, so we grab the middle. Make sure you run the seam lines up vertical with the tail. And that's done. When the tail is done, you can go down to the risers and run your hands up the inside rear lines, which is your center C and D and your brake lines, and you can put the tailgate on. To the center, and you can set your tailgate. Simply wrap it around the center C and D lines and the brake lines. If you're slider up, this is where you would quarter your slider just like you would in skydiving. For me personally, I put a pinch of tape around the lines to ensure the line overs don't occur. You can simply use masking tape. That works also. So now, just bring your lines together slightly. Once this is all done, go back to your clamps and pull everything nice and tight for the last time. Clamps again, A clamp, C-clamp, C-clamp, D-clamp. Then we're going to just pinch our D-clamp. Release your D-clamp slightly, pull your tail down, and pull it over your lines and slider if you have one. We can then stow the lines. The tail pocket. Down below. Pulling our tail out slightly. Giving it a flake. And now we're going to do our lines. Grabbing our packing weight off. Pull up your packing weight and sit on your canopy facing towards your container. Lift the tail pocket out and put a locking stow in. About 2 inches is good. So opening the tail pocket. Grab your inside rubber band and then grab your lines and do your primary stow. Like so, not once. Use a double rubber band if you need to and then tuck that away. Tucking it back inside the tail pocket. Okay, then making sure from here we are going to do free stowing, which is basically a figure 8 all the way up until your lines reach your risers. Put them up onto the top and lay them in the container, like so, all the way up. If you're having trouble with this, you can simply put your feet up on each one all the time while your lines are new until they get a bit softer. All the way up to the top. Then you're simply going to close the tail pocket. It's very important to make sure these side ones are down, but it's very, very important to make sure that the bottom Velcro is tight to prevent line dump, which causes line overs and tension knots. Like so. Grabbing the clamps off. After you have stowed your lines and put your tail pocket on correctly, ensuring the bottom Velcro is very tight, fold the stabilizers over on top of the canopy. On each side. Pull your clamps off nice and neatly, flatten everything out, and then with one easy fold, flip everything over on top of your tail and put 2 clamps on, making sure they are even top and bottom. One fold. Putting clamps back on the container. Like so. Then repeat for the other side, making sure the tail and your clamps are nice and even, and flatten everything out once more if needed. And just making sure that our bridle runs out the center. If you like, for cosmetic purposes, you can do a 45-degree fold under there, but it really doesn't matter. To put everything in the container, neaten everything up with your risers and put your pull-up cord on. Then with a quick flick, slide the container under the lines and drop it in. Dress the risers, making sure that they're even with no twists with my brake toggles. Next, check either side and make sure the risers are nice and clear so you have a nice flat pack job when it is on your back. Same on this side. Like that. Perfect. Now grabbing on this hand underneath the container and grabbing into the middle with your middle finger. Do a bit of a karate chop and flick the whole canopy over, exposing the nose that we did at the start. And close the container. Pulling out, pilot sheet back to the side. And now what we did with the nose at the start of the... If you're slider down jumping, you want to expose the nose completely. So pull your clamps off and expose your nose. You can put your knee on there and then do the same for the other side. Then flip the remaining tail over and start closing your container. Keeping everything nice and even, like so. Putting your knee or hand on it if you need to. Then, whilst making another fold around the back, simply put the lines on top of each other, grab your knee, you can take your hand off this one, And same on this one. Pulling one side of the container up, keeping control of the container at all times, and the canopy, like so, and then kneel side by side. Then you can simply dress the canopy. The most important thing when closing the container is to keep everything nice and tight and symmetrical, and keep control of it with your knees and or elbows. Here. This is the join of your nose and your bottom skin, also known as the vagina, and it shows where your pack job is and how good it is. Your bridle, checking that it is connected correctly, lay it downwards towards you. Every container is different, but this is how I close my OSP with my ZAC 3 or Hybrid 3. It might be slightly different if you have another container, so check your user manual before you do this. I like to do my top pin first so I get everything nice and neat and flat, and then do up each flap and put the closing pin in. Pull it out as you wish, making sure there is a loop in this section. Have enough for 1 or 2 fingers. Then turn it around and do the same with the bottom pin. Do the same with the bottom pin. It's very important to keep everything nice and neat so it feels good on your back and gives you a good feeling when you're on the edge about to jump. Then we do the same on this side. The ZAC 3s are quite difficult to do, but they keep the pack job really, really neat. Like so. And then simply push the pack job up underneath, giving a nice, good hit on the pilot chute here. And you'll find that the pin goes in quite easy also. I like to have my pins vertically and heading towards the 1 o'clock position. That way you can have it nice and neat, like so, following the contour of the container. And simply close your flap down the top flap and just dress your container down the bottom, just making sure it's nice and neat. And then just by getting your bridle, laying it along the side of the flap like so, just push it under and that will completely hide the flap, ready to go. That you get this flap inside on the riser handle and push in like so. Same with this one. And then we're just going to compress it all down. So with the bottom pin closed, turn the container over and neaten up everything, dressing the risers and the bottom of the container. You can even kneel on your rig or stand on it to flatten it out and keep it nice and neat. Just give it a nice little rock back like so. And you'll find that it will flatten out your pack job and make it look very neat and clean. Then we have the most important part, the pilot chute. The way I do my pilot chute is called the mushroom burrito. It is very simple and effective, and it's the one I like to use the most. Untwisting your bridle, run your hand all the way up the mesh until you get to the fabric. Pull the fabric around, creating a mushroom shape, grabbing onto the apex and lay it to the ground. Do on this one, or you can grab it in both hands and use it. So then flip everything over, making sure that your thumb stays here. This will catch the bridle, and then just above the fabric. It is very simple from here. S-fold everything very neatly until you get to about 6 inches from the end between the bridle and the pin. This is the most critical part of the pack job because if your pilot chute doesn't work, the parachute will not open. All the way until the base of the container, leaving about 6 inches out. Making sure it's extremely neat because this will help the rest of your pack job. Now this is the burrito section. Fold the mesh over both sides. Grab the fabric down from the top, like so. And without doing any folds, simply scrunch the pilot chute down. Once the bridle has been S-folded all the way, wrap the mesh over the bridle, then pull the fabric over it without rolling. Keep working it until you get a nice symmetrical shape. All the way through, but without any folds. Then we simply canopy on the side, making sure there's no twists in the bridle. And using a tiny little fold on the end just to get it in the container. Just pop it in like so. Flattening it down again. The fabric and the handle. So that's it. A simple and effective pack job. Once you get it going, it should only take around 15 to 20 minutes. And don't forget, practice makes perfect. So get out there and do a heap of pack jobs, 20 at least, and it will save you tons of time in the long run so you can get more jumps during your course. So that's the way I pack. I hope you like it. Do it safe, keep practicing, and enjoy your jumping. And that's it.